I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
does anyone know who you are yet? like you're really, really good.
Hiding away in Canada.
She's like, I just play in Alberta and I play in Baja, Mexico. And I'm like, let me introduce you to some senior pro guys because you're going to be a hot commodity very quickly.
I like that you started to pronounce Alberta like Alberto.
Alberta.
You're tuned in now to This Pickleball Life. I'm K-Dubs and Jilly B is my wife. She's the pro and I've got the filler. She's sweet to me, but on the court she's a killer. Unadulterated and efficiently bringing you the best and worst things in PB. Tell your friends and stay for another. And no one loves us more than your mother. One thing's for sure, one hit and you're addicted. Grab a pal, grab a court, don't resist it. So click subscribe, let's go, let's get cracking. Things on gun, let's go, let's get laughing. This Pickleball Life.
Welcome to This Pickleball Life, your favorite comedy podcast disguised as a pickleball podcast. I'm Jill Braverman, aka your girl Jilly B, top 20 in the world pro pickleballer, former CEO of Duper and chief of staff of Major League Pickleball, and most importantly, co-host of This Pickleball Life.
And I'm Kristin Walla, co-host of This Pickleball Life, and we are in Mexico. Let's get rolling.
We are in Baja, Mexico. For those of you,
Beautiful Baja, Mexico.
For those of you who have been following the podcast, you know that I've arranged invite-only, super fun, 8-person clinic here at Palapas Baja Resort. Frankly, didn't know what to expect and definitely did not expect this. It is way cooler, more beautiful, and I thought it was going to be beautiful, and so fun. Like, we have an ATV, and it's a quad.
Yes.
Shout out to Quad Man.
Quad Man.
And it's really cool going on the dirt roads. And
My hair will never be the same.
The food is awesome.
The staff is amazing.
There's 10 courts.
Courts are amazing. The ambiance is unparalleled.
Yeah.
Honestly, it is everything I expected.
Okay, I didn't know because I've never been to
This is what
Mexico, and I think I was like a little nervous. And I was like convincing people to come on this trip. I kind of knew nothing about like classic Jilly B, but it has been rad. Like above my expectations.
It came from a good source, though. It came from a good source. We trust.
It did.
It's the hot tip, and then multiple piled on. So we had great confirmation on this pocket listing.
And since it's our first ever international podcast, we've decided let's have our first ever guest. So we're going to have Sally Meecham, co-founder, co-owner of Tres Palapas, join us later to talk about Is Mexico Pickleball's next gold rush. And I love the business angle and the business kind of tilt and lean of this podcast because we're going to dive into some really cool numbers a little bit later.
Yeah, absolutely. And great conversation with Sally. She is a very deep source of lots of wisdom.
Yep. So let's catch up just a little bit. You know, this has been a really heavy couple weeks, not just because of, you know, paddle deflection gate, but everything that's happening in Israel. And you and I, along with a delegation of pro pickleball players, went to Israel just over a year ago.
Time flies.
As part of exhibiting in the Maccabi Games. We taught pickleball in the streets, at parks, in synagogues, at rec centers. We drove all over the country.
Oh my God. And these kids were so fun, so thirsty, and so thirsty for knowledge and such great spirits. Just seeing all of the people out there playing pickleball, it just proves how pickleball #1 is joy.
Yeah.
And really will catch on globally.
And we formed lifelong friendships on that trip. I mean, former interim CEO of Major League Pickleball, Brian Levine.
Absolutely.
And I remember, you know, sitting down with Brian that trip and being like, can we stitch back together the pickleball world? Like, you're friends with Tom Dundon. I work for Steve Kuhn. Like, could you be the linchpin, the moderator, like the missing component of this, Brian, and help us put everything together? And kind of clairvoyantly, like, that's what happened.
Yeah.
And so met Brian that trip, and I remember like not trusting him at all that first day. And I was like, you're friends with Tom Dundon.
Like,
don't
be
ask me
careful
questions.
what you say to Brian.
Lo and behold, we're like best friends at the end of the trip, and I respect him almost more than anyone. anyone I've met in business. Seymour Rifkind, founder of the World Pickleball Federation, organized the trip. Thank you, Seymour, or Riff, I should say. Megan was there.
Megan Paul.
Sally LeBlanc, Fleegs, Scott Fliegelman, and we just formed these amazing.
Yes, Fleegs, who we ended up doing a clinic with in Boulder a couple months ago. So yeah, it was a really memorable trip.
We went to the Holocaust Museum. I always butcher the name of this. That was a life-changing experience, and you know there was peace in the region. Like we never felt unsafe. At one point, we were close to the border, and you know, our guide was talking about like all the violence that had been in the region, and now there was peace. But still, you left with this feeling of like these people, these Israelis, these Jews, live in a world where everyone around them wants to murder them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you grow up with this mindset surrounded by people that want to kill you. And so it creates like a really fascinating like ethos or culture where you're living every day to its fullest. You're working hard, you're playing hard, and you've got an edge and a toughness.
Yeah.
Because you're in this tiny pocket of the world surrounded by enemies. And I'm heartbroken about what's happening in Israel right now. I can't believe it was just over a year ago that we were there.
Yeah,
and our hearts go out to
absolutely
everyone
in
right
that
now.
region. I mean, so much heartbreak. And for those of you who might not know, when I went into Israel, I was picturing like what you see on the news. When we got to Tel Aviv, it was like Miami meets San Francisco.
Meets Manhattan.
Yeah. Amazing city, amazing beaches. And it, much like we were talking with our friends from British Columbia, where you have like ocean and mountains and, you know, the cultures all combined. Israel, similarly, it's like there's desert, there's beach, there's infrastructure, there's technology. They've really packed so much amazing stuff into that tiny country. And
for those of you that don't know, the captain of the Buenos Aires Maccabi team that was supposed to go in December to BA, Ronan Neutra, his son Omer has been abducted by Hamas, kidnapped, and is being held hostage. So, you know, this affects us all. It's close to home. Pray for Israel.
Yeah.
Pray for the region.
So obviously a somber tone to a normally joyous pod, but it felt necessary to give that moment.
Yep.
So hopefully by the time our next pod comes out, there's maybe some good news in that front.
Absolutely. For those of you who reached out after the last podcast with Paddle Deflection Gate, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the outpouring of support. It means a lot. Like, you know, this is our pickleball life. We're going to tell our truth and call it like we see it. Yeah. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to keep doing that. We're always going to be
And of all the things that have personally happened around or to you that we've talked about on this pod, this is like the least about you of anything. This is about everyone who plays professional pickleball and really amateur pickleball too. It's just about consistency and fairness. There's 100%. Actually very little to do with you and even Irina. You know, the problem is in the inconsistency of the testing, and that's really all we are asking for at this moment anyway. Is the best testing we do have should just be across the board. End of story.
Yeah,
right?
100%. 100%.
So there was some other major news in the pickleball universe this week in which Steve Kuhn, founder of MLP, announced his resignation from MLP. And I
think there's a lot of misinformation flying around. You know, we do have significant information on this story, which is still developing, and we are going to address it in next week's podcast. For now, I want to say that I have had the absolute, as have you, honor of getting to know Steve.
If you don't know, we've talked about him a lot on the pod, but he is and will always be a huge part of the history of pickleball. founding
the pickleball visionary in the sport. I look at the list of the top 30 players in the world, male and female, and I think 20 of them would not be doing what they're doing right now if it weren't for Steve training at Dreamland, living at Dreamland, his facility that he built just outside of Austin, Texas. There has not been a player who has come to Steve and said, I need help, and he has rejected them. There has not been a cause to which Steve has not personally donated, whether it was the trip to Israel, which he helped fund. There has not, the landscape of pickleball as we know it, as you sit here and listen and enjoy it, would not be what you know without Steve Kuhn, his vision, his wherewithal, his ambition, and his deep, deep desire to make the sport what you know it is today, as great as it is today, and to take care of the players, do the right thing.
Forward, to encourage the development of new players. Absolutely.
So that's what I want to say about Steve today.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is there anything you would add to that?
No, I mean, founder of Duper and MLP, both very, very integral to our lives and the life of the sport. And yeah, we're very lucky that he has taken it upon himself to take that passion and turn it into realities. Yeah. And I remember sitting at the very first MLP in Austin after having sat in his living room talking about the idea of MLP and just going, wow, like 3 months ago, this didn't exist. And then since then, what it's become.
I was talking to Sarah Ansbury at the last Major League Pickleball event, and she said, you know, it's so funny. I sat with Steve a year and a half ago, and he walked me through the vision for MLP, and I just realized he's achieved every single thing he said he was going to achieve with MLP. Yeah.
So,
and not many people can have that wherewithal, that vision, and then actually execute on it and build a team and lead a team around them. So, you know, we'll address more of this next week.
We really want to dedicate proper time to it.
Yep.
So yeah.
So I think with that, let's get into the theme.
Okay. Of the dia.
Very good. Theme of the dia.
It's the theme of the day.
All right, here with Sally Meecham to discuss our theme of the day. Is Mexico Pickleball's next gold rush? Sally, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Jill.
I should say thank you for having me in this beautiful Tres Palapas in Baja, Mexico, 1 hour north of Los Cabos. So, Sally, brief introduction for you. You were the #1 stockbroker in Canada before you retired in 2001. Joke's on you, because obviously you've been working since 2001. And not only that, but you were on the board of Nav Canada Air Control and Navigation System, which had 65,000 employees. So fair to say you know your way around the business world and you have a bit of a finance background. A bit. Tell us about Tres Palapas.
Well, Tres Palapas is something that Paul and I had talked about starting 10 years ago. We started purchasing land, and you know, it's one of these funny things. It was before pickleball had really taken off, and you know, Paul and I have got this thing. We have a problem with
small.
We have a problem with big. We can't do small or big. We can't do anything small. We only do big, and honestly, it's a problem. And so we had this vision of building Tres. We stood in this house right here where we are now. We looked at an empty lot and we decided, yeah, let's build this place out. So anyhow, here we were close to 10 years ago now. And we decided that we enjoyed pickleball ourselves and we wanted to have a place to play. There were some people playing in our town on a Mexican facility. And we'd taken over their space. Yeah. And we knew that if we were going to play the sport, we wanted to have a place of our own. So we looked at the overall picture and decided way back then that pickleball was not going to pay for itself. Yeah. On its own. So what we did is we built a place that would appeal to tourists, that would be great for the community, that would attract really wonderful, good community members to the town, and that we'd all be able to play the sport. And we also felt that by building something that was beautiful, it would feel like it was a resort. It would feel like a resort destination.
Yeah.
But instead of making the doors closed, we opened the doors. And we opened it to community. And what we have is now is a community that has built up and around Tres Palapas. And
this year you'll hit 600,000 people through your doors. Is that right?
Yeah. We've had 600,000 paid entries since we've opened, and it's more than we could have ever.
If someone would have told you 10 years ago that number, what would you have said?
You're crazy.
And if they would have told you you're going to go from 2 courts to 10?
Well, actually, you know what? We had envisioned this place. We hired an architect. We had envisioned it. We planned out the numbers. We had planned out all the elements. Where we made our big mistake was in thinking that we could build it and hire somebody else to run it.
Oh.
We had the vision, but having somebody else run your vision,
not going to work.
It doesn't work. It's like if you have a vision of somebody else, how they should play your pickleball game for you, put them into a game and tell them how to play. It doesn't work that way.
That's actually a very good analogy.
Yeah.
That is so interesting. And I want to get to, for our listeners at home who've had dreams of buying and building a facility, I want to get to like the biggest mistakes and the biggest piece of advice you have for them. But first, I want you to tell us some of the numbers you shared with me yesterday when you were nice enough to pick me up from the airport. Thank you very much. About why doing business in Mexico is so attractive.
By the numbers, by the numbers.
Well, Mexico has a population of 128 million people.
Wow.
They have, and their average, the median age, I think, is just below 30, 29, 30 years of age.
That's amazing.
Fantastic workforce. The economy has really picked up in Mexico. The standard of living has picked up, particularly in Baja, where we are. And there are pockets that have done extremely well. So you have a strong workforce. And that workforce is also of the age where raising families is important to them, and consumer spending. And in Mexico, tourism is a very strong component.
Those airport numbers, just at this tiny little airport, Los Cabos.
San Jose del Cabo Airport receives 7 million visitors. Wow. That's by year, every year. And it's growing. It's the #1 travel destination, I think, from the U.S.
Wow. And I see why. You know, I grew up in Newport Beach in beautiful Orange County, Southern California, and it's exactly what you said. Baja, this area, it feels like Newport Beach 75 years ago.
It's exactly what this place is. There's something so raw and so natural. When you arrive here, there's a level of freedom that you don't have elsewhere.
When you picked me up, you said the only rule is that there are no rules.
There are.
I loved that.
Yeah, and you know when you've hit the end of the rope. You know, in Mexico, it's a very safe place to be. If you choose to be living a different lifestyle and challenging the norms, yes, you can get into trouble. But it's a very long rope. And as for business, it's a really unique, free, entrepreneurial style of business here.
Well, as Paul said, your better half, they give you plenty of rope to hang yourself with.
Well, they do. They do. And it's easy. There's a certain, you know, most of what we do is very easy as far as business goes. You know, sure, there's challenge in, okay, I need to understand a little bit more Spanish. And yes, there's a little understanding of that, you know, we have an extra country for tax. But as far as permits, and as far as help and support, and as far as banking, things are so much easier than what I would have thought they'd be. Yeah, and just even, you know, the permits to build this place took us 2 weeks.
Wow.
Right? It, you know,
and the labor force, the skilled labor needed to build it, they're here. Like it's a friendly place to be doing business.
It's a friendly place, and
this podcast is not sponsored by the government of Mexico, just to be like super clear. I am not receiving, I mean, not yet. I will be submitting this to them with, you know, and ask for sponsorship.
Yes, and nearshoring is the big, you know, word that Mexican governments and banks use these days. So we're going to call this pickle shoring.
Pickle shoring. TM.
Just like that.
Amazing, amazing. So you I wouldn't say changed the face of pickleball in Mexico because you created it. You surgically put the face on pickleball in Mexico. So when you see that you're literally responsible for 100, if not hundreds of millions of dollars of residential real estate purchases in and around Baja from people coming through your doors, falling in love with this area, wanting to live here, or at least winter here, I should say. And then when you see that your pickleball community has grown, and now there's a facility down the road, and this person's building 2 private courts in their backyard, are you annoyed, flattered, somewhere in between? I mean, you are the cornerstone of pickleball in Mexico.
We are the cornerstone of pickleball in Mexico. So many years ago, we sat with our staff and we said, we're going to change Mexico. And we're not going to take credit for the growth of pickleball.
Because that's its own magic.
That's its own magic. That is a trend that is just, the trend is your friend. That is like an amazing trend. What we will take credit for, though, is having started so many locals.
Yes.
Who are now throughout Mexico opening their own facilities and trying to figure out what we do. They're trying. They've come through here. They've learned about the sport. They watch what we do. They've worked for us. We've brought them to Canada. We've helped them out. And so yes, it's a great compliment, and it's what we set out to do in the first place. And so we have a great amount of pride in that. We really do, and it makes our heart feel good. Where we have the challenge is we are business people.
Yeah.
We are still business people. And we can take credit for hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate sales right in this small little town. That town that you see up the hill, that is pickleball land up there.
Yeah, because of you guys. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Trader Joe's.
Yeah. You're the Trader Joe's.
We are.
Right? You know about this, right?
I
It's
like
like
this.
They don't know if there's causation or correlation, but anytime a Trader Joe's goes into a community, home values rise like 15% within 2 years.
Absolutely.
You're the Trader Joe's.
And we know that. We're
Pickle.
living it. See, we have a story still to tell in Mexico. We really do. We bring our model. We've worked on this model for years and years and years. And and there has been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and we've had so many fantastic moments. We've had moments that have been painful and hard, and I wouldn't want anyone else to have a repeat. But we've worked it through. And
what was the hardest moment in this decade for you guys as a couple running this business?
Truthfully, we worked our hearts out opening this place. And 2 weeks after we opened it, we had our first tournament, and one of the guests passed on the courts.
Oh my goodness.
Right in front of me. Very, yeah. Anyhow, you want to talk about the hardest thing? That was, the hardest thing was, hey, you have 500,000 people through here. I don't care if they're coming in to look at roses or sip tequila. Yeah. Eventually something's going to happen. You have that many people coming through your gates. So I don't know if
I can only imagine what that must have, I was going to say, I can only imagine what that must have felt like, given it's like your second week, and it's like, is this an omen? What does this mean?
It was, well, somebody looked at us and said, well, okay, you got that one out of the way. Let's go.
Yeah.
Continue on.
Yeah. It happens.
It does. So yeah, that there are difficult things there
that you can never anticipate. You would never think about that.
No. And just even the businesses is how do we operate, starting from the beginning, what is the model, making the decision that we were going to have happy hour pickleball, and for people to look at us and say, you're going to drink and play pickleball? Yeah.
So you were doing that before it was a thing?
Oh yeah. We are built on pickleball, sunshine, and tacos, and a little cerveza, for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You are responsible for all the 10 million Americans playing pickleball and having a cocktail in their hand. I love that. Yes. One of our players did say today, well, if you have me reaching in like this and I don't even need my left hand, I might as well put a beer in it for counterbalance. I said, go get it. I couldn't agree more. So I love that.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to anyone at home listening to this who's had aspirations to be part of a facility, to build a facility, to buy a piece of land?
It's a really tough business. It's
Is it one of the toughest you've ever been in?
Yeah, with everything, I can honestly say everything that I have done and everything that Paul has done, and we've done a lot of business in the past. This has been the greatest challenge that we've ever had.
And is that because it's a mix of like real estate, F&B, membership, and people? Like, you know, I see Paul earlier in the day, he's co-owner of this, and he's helping a gentleman figure out the court reserve application on his phone who's disgruntled because he can't register for something. Like, it's a little bit of everything. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but is that what makes it so difficult?
It's, yeah. And how do we communicate? We live in this world where communication is so important, but in pickleball, we haven't decided how we communicate or who's in charge of communication.
Interesting.
Do we WhatsApp? Do we email? Do we Facebook? Do we Instagram?
Duper,
do we group
Insta,
me?
Facebook?
Duper. Do we put signs out on in the hallways where people go for a little walk and they literally fall over the signs and they still can't see what we're trying to communicate? You know, tomorrow night is burger night. Well, why didn't you tell me? You know, it's just so the challenge in pickleball is communication. And then when you have communication managed, which we have, that for us, the biggest business challenge was communication. So we've worked all these years. We have a fantastic website, which has been stolen a couple of times and rebuilt, and it has...
What haven't you seen? What?
5 integrations into... Oh, we've seen a lot. Hey, if you are in the pickleball business and you have not had chaos,
you're not really
or the occasional dust up, you are not in the pickleball business. Be prepared for every single battle that you've had on the court playing pickleball.
Yeah. Be
prepared to have that in business and more.
Exponentially.
And your life savings will be on the line as you do it.
I mean, you guys were telling me about, Paul was telling me, like, yeah, you see, you know, the walls for the wind. What you see of these walls, and we'll insert a photo of it, that actually goes down 3 times that amount into the ground. They're like earthquake proof or structurally sound.
Hurricane proof.
And he goes,
no buttresses.
No buttresses. He goes, those were $250,000. Poof. I mean, I was gobsmacked. Poof.
It looks so simple.
To build a wall that you would never even notice.
Yes.
Just a wall.
Yeah. So for anyone starting into the pickleball business, look, you're in the business of teaching people how to be better at pickleball, there are so many pros. What they do is they make people's pickleball better. Let me tell you about pickleball and business. The first thing that's going to happen is your pickleball rating is going to go down.
If you're in the business of pickleball.
Yeah, the worst thing ever for pickleball. The worst thing, you can talk about the best thing for pickleball, the best way for pickleball, the best. And I sit here on the other side and think, the worst thing for pickleball is business.
What's your catchphrase?
So when I was CEO of Duper and I would interview someone for a role, I'd say, why do you want to work at Duper? And invariably the answer would be, I love pickleball. I am obsessed with pickleball. I want to work in pickleball. To which I would ask, so let me get this straight. You would like to turn your hobby and your passion into a requirement.
Yeah, exactly. Pickleball is not work. You know, we've had people who come here and they think, oh yeah, I'm going to come and work and I'm excited and I can do this and this and this. And they give us these fantastic credentials. And then they go out and they play pickleball for 4 hours and then they go off and have a taco and a beer. And it's like, I worked all morning and it's like, you didn't get any work done at all.
What's that role called? Because I'm applying for it right now. It's called Fired. Oh, it's called I'm Fired. Okay. Sign me up. But I totally agree with you. Fundamentally, when you work in pickleball, your Duper rating completely takes a hit. You don't play it. I wouldn't say you lose the joy of it, but you're working in it. And unless your husband, Paul, you're not playing it 3 hours a day.
Yeah. So we have different roles, right? Like, you know, I handle a lot of administration and financial and social media and communication and working with the staff and payroll and banking and legal and accounting. And Paul is on the courts, and you know, he has a huge job.
He does.
Being the face
of
the place.
That's
and
hard.
Talking to every single person who comes through here. Paula's info at thispblife.baja.com. You know, it's a massive role, and to be able to be on the courts and always knowing that you're having conversations with everybody still on the courts.
It's hard. I don't envy that. I don't want that.
Yeah.
And I'm like you. Put me in the back room. Give me the numbers. Give me the computer.
Yeah. And pickleball is, you know, it's middle school.
Totally.
It's totally middle school.
Amplified.
Yeah. And everyone walks into this place with a story and a history, and their insecurities come out and their joy comes out, and they're working through their stuff in life. On the courts, people practice pickleball like a religion. They're here every day. And whether they're here on vacation for a week or winter training for a month or 2 months, or whether they're expats here in the wintertime, we have a large expat community. They're coming out here, and everybody has the opportunity to be a little bit better when they arrive here. And you know, those are the kinds of things that make us feel good, but we need to support it. And it's a challenge. How do we communicate? What are our boundaries? How do we give everyone who walks through that gate an equal opportunity to possibly have a good day playing pickleball? Their pickleball, you know, not your pickleball and not your pickleball. Their pickleball. And we need programming. You know, we need programming, and we need to support them in that.
It's funny you said their pickleball, and I thought you said Thera pickleball, like therapy, but it's Thera pickleball. And
That's true.
TM. Marlene Bell, a hysterical author of a couple different pickleball books, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly of Pickleball, and a book called Pickleball, because it's cheaper than therapy. Anyway, I think that's something you provide here, is this sense of community, this sense of like Thera pickleball, and how do you provide everyone with that opportunity to have their best day?
Yeah.
So one question I have for you is, what is the future of Trace? I mean, obviously we've talked about Mexico being the next potential gold rush of pickleball, and here you guys are as the cornerstone. When when you close your eyes and you look 1, 3, 5 years down the road, where do you see yourselves? Where do you see Trace? Where do you see pickleball in Mexico?
You know, everyone is wondering, you know, okay, first there are a large group of people saying, oh, I could have done it. I could have been in business. I could have done this in pickleball. I could have, I would have, I should have, whatever. And then there are people who are searching, what is the next best business? What is the next best? Where is the next big exciting thing in pickleball? And I can tell you, hands down, absolutely no question, the next best thing in pickleball is business in Mexico.
Wow.
Tourism, pickleball tourism in Mexico, absolutely, without a doubt.
Match made in heaven.
Match made in heaven. But you got to learn how to do it the right way.
And you guys have spent 10 years building out programming, a brand, the knowledge of how to actually physically build the real estate purchase. Like you have this, you have all these connections, this amalgamation of skills and know-how.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. We have this extraordinary following. And our brand, yes, our brand is known when we go through the airports, when we're on the planes, when we're known.
Yeah.
Our brand is known, and we've spent so many years, and we started ahead of the curve. We're still ahead of the curve, and we intend on staying ahead of the curve. That is, you know, business has a life cycle, and it starts at the beginning, and it starts gaining momentum, and eventually it starts, you know, it's like a spinning top. Eventually it's really moving on its own with its own energy. And as long as that energy is increasing and the top is spinning more and more, the top will stay up, and it's very vibrant and exciting. And the moment you allow it to lose some of its energy and it starts going down, well, then the top lays down and it's over. So for us in pickleball, we are still very much at the beginning. The future of pickleball and tourism, and I mean, we have a story to tell. We have a business, we have a model that I think should be all over Mexico.
Wow.
Like we really do. We have a brand that you put the brand in place, and it doesn't matter whether it's tourism, whether it's construction, real estate, fractional sales.
Yeah.
You know, we have a very special place here and a great following, and we have a great following in our you know, electronics.
Yeah, your
social
digital
media,
presence. Yeah.
digital presence.
You think you're not good at Instagram? Trust me, you're good at Instagram.
Thank you. Thank you. It's just
Woman of
learning.
many skills. Woman of
Yeah,
many skills.
just yeah. So yeah.
So you want to see the brand grow? Do you want to be the one that grows the brand?
I think we need some people who are experts in this area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have created a model
Mm-hmm.
that is successful, and it should be repeated.
And you'd like to see it scale. Yep.
And we'd like to see it scale, and we're open to the right people coming forth. You want to be involved in the next biggest and most exciting thing. And let's look at big picture. I'm not talking, you know,
Yeah.
a few months from now. You want big picture?
Yeah.
You want to build a place that makes a difference throughout a country that
Yeah.
that is highly leveraged?
Yeah.
That's us.
Okay.
There are so many hotels that are opening up, and they're putting in courts
Mm-hmm.
so that they can sell more rooms. That's not pickleball.
It's not.
That's not community.
And it's not programming. Yeah.
And it could be so much better.
Yeah.
We could take that exact model and make it extraordinarily profitable.
Yeah.
And successful for the community. And that's the unique story that we have. And you know, we're the cornerstone of pickleball in Mexico. If one wants to take over pickleball in Mexico,
Yeah.
we're it.
So I think what I'm hearing, Sally, is if our listeners at home are watching and they are interested in everything that they're hearing right now and what you're saying about pickleball as an opportunity in Mexico, they should contact you.
Yeah. Pop down. Let's have some lunch.
Drink
a
some
beer.
tacos.
Yeah. Info at Trace Palapas.
And
have
a
a little tequila.
fantastic margarita. I have not been a tequila fan until coming to Trace and having Isabel's margaritas. So
Yeah,
Sally, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for having Kristin and I here on this trip. Thank you to Paul. Thank you for being here on this podcast to talk about all the opportunities in Mexico, the blood, sweat, and tears that you guys have poured in building this community. And to our listeners at home, if you're interested in learning more about Trace Palapas, coming as a guest, or learning about ways to help build this out in and around your area, whether that's Mexico or elsewhere, reach out. info@tracepalapas.com. Is that correct?
info@tracepalapasbaja.com.
info@tracepalapasbaja.com. Sally, thank you so much for joining us.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and you guys have been a joy. Like
Thank
you
you.
truly are. That's what people don't know about you two. You're like pure joy.
Thank
and we
you.
appreciate you being here.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
It is our sign off, in fairness. So I hope you got a lot out of that chat with Sally. Like I said, very deep bucket of great information and wisdom. And
Just good human
we're
beings.
lucky. We're lucky to be here, and we, the pickleball community, are lucky they exist.
Yep.
And I do think they have a lot to give and a lot of knowledge to pass on, and the desire to share that knowledge. You know, a lot of people find success and they want to hide it away from everyone else, and
It's true.
they want to
Spread it.
spread the love,
Yep,
spread
so-
the joy.
Thank you to Paul and Sally for hosting us. This has really been a dream trip, and we're on like day 2.
Totally.
Ruck Solar Packs. Do you have someone in your life who's impossible to shop for? The Ruck Solar Pack is definitely our favorite pickleball bag. It's also sleek, fits your laptop, your paddles, and it has a solar panel to charge all the devices.
A solar panel, like
how cool
who
is
comes
that?
up with that? That is the coolest idea ever. It literally charges your devices from the solar pack while you're playing pickleball. I mean, does it get better than that? I don't think so.
You can visit ruckpack.com. That's RUKPACK.com. You can use code JillyB for 15% off your next order.
RUKPACK.com and use code JillyB for 15% off on your next order.
So we have a really interesting and I think important, dear JillyB,
As always.
tip of the day that I think all skill levels can learn from. So in our clinic yesterday, we were working on going from the back court to the kitchen. And it's funny, people either have like, it seems like a lot of amateurs have two modes: sprint blindly to the kitchen as soon as they hit a third shot, or stay back in utter terror. And there's very little in between. So we worked on yesterday a great drill. So this question is about like, how do I get into the kitchen successfully? How do I increase my kitchen arrival success rate?
This is kind of like the evolution of a pickleballer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone starts
Yep.
staying in the back court, not knowing where they're supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, okay, get to the kitchen. And then they do the blind rush up. And then they're like, oh, wait, like there's some kind of in between.
100%. So yesterday I had two teams playing against each other. And one of the teams should have been winning 11-0. And they lost. And I said, everyone come to the kitchen line and play a game at the kitchen. The team that I thought should win 11-0 won 11-0. And I said, so what's the issue? You guys are not getting to the kitchen. For whatever reason, you're not getting to the kitchen. So let's get you guys up together. And when you exchange side outs over and over, and you're stuck at 7-4, 4-0, whatever the number is, for like 20 minutes, that means you are not getting to the kitchen. And so I look at my partner, I go, look, for whatever reason, we're not getting the kitchen. Let's just go in together. Let's be super calm. It could take us 3 or 4 shots. Let's just get in together as calmly as possible. So there's a drill for everyone at home, which is start with one person at the net and one person back. The person at the net feeds. The person back hits a third shot drop, takes a step in, hits another drop, takes a step in, hits another, until they're at the kitchen.
I think Jessie Irvin exhibits this really
better
well.
than anybody.
If you watch her,
Yes.
she just calm as can be,
Mm-hmm.
hits her shot from transition, moves on with her life. Obviously, Ben John's also really good at that, always looking calm. But it does beg a different kind of thought question for me, and I think the confusion for people is you're told a lot of times when you're the team at the kitchen to keep them back, right?
Sure.
And if there's one person sort of up and one person back, a lot of times hit to the person in the back. But what you're talking about is when your partner gets caught trying to come up and someone hits at them. So tell our listeners like the 30-second elevator pitch of when to hit at that person coming up versus when to hit that person who's still hanging back.
I think it depends. I don't think there's like a hard and fast rule. Sometimes we call that hit at the sitting duck. So if someone wants to come up and be separated from their partner, I was trying to hit between them because you've got a parted sea, so to speak.
On the ground, obviously.
Yeah, between them on the
get it.
ground. So the person coming up can't poach. You can also hit it at the person who's come up and just test their hands and test their skills. You know, they're the sitting duck.
Yeah.
So often we're trying to keep that one person back, that one person back, that one person back. So I try and mix it up.
Okay.
I don't think there's a hard and a fast rule, but I do think the single best drill to get comfortable in the transition zone is, what we'll call the Jessie Irvin, like hit one, take a step in. Even if it's good enough for you to sprint in, I still want to see you just take a step, take a step, take a step. So you've hit probably 3 to 5 shots till you get to the kitchen. I think it's one of the most underutilized drills and probably one of the most impactful.
And I would say one of the things you always harp on, and is probably the critical component of this drill, is when to stop moving.
Yep.
So what I was hoping to kind of tee you up for is if that person sneaking in is still on the move, hit at them.
Get them.
Right? But if you are the person trying to work your way in, stop when?
Yeah. When the opponent has made contact with the ball. So we'll insert a video clip of this because I think it's so important.
Visual, yeah.
You want to stop as soon as your opponent is making contact. So many people are running through the transition zone while their opponent's making contact with the ball. That's how you miss in the transition zone. You're moving too much. Thank you for teeing it up. And I'm sorry I wasn't smart enough to pick it up.
Hey, no, there's
Can
always...
I blame it on the red wine and the margaritas? By the way, I don't love margaritas, and the margaritas here have been impeccable. They're spicy.
The detail you're missing is Jill usually orders margaritas with vodka.
That's correct.
When we're in the States, but she somehow had the inclination that these were going to be the time to switch back to tequila.
It's been good.
I'm proud of her.
It's been really, really good.
It's given me that nice rasp in my voice this morning.
I love it.
I like it. I got to go sing now.
Use it. I hope you guys find that tip impactful, and don't forget you can write us at thispblife@gmail.com if you have any questions, if you want to submit a question, dear Jilly B.
I just thought of one other great thing about this drill
Mm-hmm.
is it's actually a really good drill to do if you're stuck on a court drilling with 3 people.
It is.
Because
It
one
is.
person at the kitchen can hit at both of you.
Yeah.
Right?
My favorite 3-person drill actually is 2 people at the net, 1 person back, and the people at the net feed, and the person back hits a drive at the right hip of the ad player, assuming they're right-handed, or drives
Assuming
in the
you're
middle.
Talking to a 3.0.
Sorry,
Tell us what the ad player
just drive in the middle.
Just drive the middle.
Just drive in the middle. If I'm talking to anyone who's a 3.0, just drive it in the middle. Anyone probably above 4.0, try and hit the right hip of the left side player, assuming they're
And if you're a
right-handed.
2.0, a drive is a hard shot, hit like a line.
So try and hit like a 75% speed drive. Then you're going to get that nice, juicy 5th ball that's shorter, drop cross court.
So first one in front of you hard, second one soft cross.
Cross, yep, exactly.
From either side.
And that's called the
of
drive
your
drop
court.
drill. We'll insert a video of that because we did a
Yeah.
lot of that yesterday
Yeah.
in our masterclass clinic.
Absolutely. So we're excited for today's clinic.
Yep.
We get to evolve our students. We have a great group that just sort of naturally ended up being athletic and talented beginners, and then
Pretty advanced.
more
Uh-huh.
advanced, like 4.2 to 4.6.
A woman here, Marianne, is going to be a top senior pro. I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
does anyone know who you are yet? like you're really, really good.
Hiding away in Canada.
She's like, I just play in Alberta and I play in Baja, Mexico. And I'm like, let me introduce you to some senior pro guys because you're going to be a hot commodity very quickly.
I like that you started to
I'm a
pronounce
pickleball
Alberta
pimp.
like Alberto.
Alberta.
I live in Alberta.
I am her pickleball pimp.
So yeah, great tip of the day, and great pod. Did you? Yeah, you covered that all. That's all just.
I've been trying
part of
to
the
wrap it up
great-
for like 5 minutes, and you're like, wait, one more thing, wait, one more thing, wait, one more thing.
This is the story of our life. So hope you enjoyed another
Unhinged pickle pod.
this unhinged pickleball life. And next week we will be back in the States.
It is 7 a.m. We have not had a margarita yet, just to be clear.
But I did make the coffees for the entire group.
I love it. We will see you next week. Thanks for tuning into this pickleball life. And
Remember?
do not forget, pickleball is joy.
Don't let anyone tell you differently.
We out.
This Pickleball Life is a Tomahawk production, 100% organic, self-made, and homegrown. Music by K-Dubs, editing by K-Dubs and JillyB. Check out pbgods.com and use code PBLifers for 10% off your next order. Do you have a question for JillyB? Email us at thispblife@gmail.com to be included in future episodes. Don't forget to click subscribe.
This pickleball life.